Hello and welcome back to the Cornhusker Cooldown. My name is Patrick Patio.
Joe Mojojoe.
And we're here for episode 14. Coming back after CCL, the LAN, we got fourth place. We returned with a trophy.
Yeah, it was a bit disappointing, but you know.
Yeah, we would have liked it. Fourth place is the minimum that we could get.
Yes.
And you know what? We came back with that.
We won a game.
We won a game. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
We want to get to that, but we want to kind of give a recap of the tournament.
Went.
Yeah, how it all went. The drive was pretty good.
Fine. They didn't drive. Of course, I drove.
I didn't drive nothing.
I was hydrated.
Yeah, we got to be hydrated. Got to sleep. Mm-hmm. Got to.
Everyone except for the one playing.
Yeah, and we got to watch a series on the drive there. Which was
certainly a series.
It was a series. It was pretty fun to watch, which was NDSU versus SDSMT.
Yeah, it was Infest, bit of a banger per se. A lot of mistakes coming from both sides. The draft a little bit odd, I'd say, and then SDSMT put themselves in a very good position game one in the early game to win that. So.
Yeah, I think this entire series it just felt super shaky.
From both.
From both sides. I definitely was expecting a little bit more from NDSU.
A little bit more cleanness.
Yeah, especially because that's what we've seen from them for a lot. And they end up getting a super clean 2-0.
Not super clean.
Not super clean, but
a 2-0 nonetheless. I do think SDSMT had a good shot in both the games. They had chances in fights that they won, and at the end of the day, they didn't win. They squandered it away.
Yeah, game one they had. I really liked their draft.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. Nothing horrific about it.
Yeah, I mean you have the Victor, you have the Jinx, so you have pretty safe ADC, or not an aggressive, not an active ADC.
A very MX Compton level. You can put him on it. And even if he doesn't do super well, he can have fights where he does a lot of damage because of the reset. So
yeah, and then you have Victor for what's in my
Victor
trunk.
Ivern, the actually very good combo from them. So I mean, they had the scaling advantage on their side, and the game did go a little bit later. But NDSU, I mean, that Shogath was taking a while to kill, and there's better individual players when it comes to most positions. So
yeah, Dreadfulness was killing it in the top lane. So,
but game two.
Game banger. 2, it was another interesting comp.
NDSU's is a bit standard. I think the Udyr jungle, not something you see all the time. But outside of that, you have Ornn, Milio, Syndra, Ashe. It's a comp.
But we did see Ryze R2 for
Ryze
SDSMT.
R2. It's a pretty strong pick, though. You do want to more counter pick it into a shorter range team, and they only saw the Ashe, which is exactly the opposite of what you want to pick it into. So, it's a bit odd, though I know he likes to play it, and it's fairly strong. Yeah. And I definitely think he can carry on it. And he was doing pretty well during this team. Yeah. During the game, but there are two other picks I think are more interesting.
Yeah, we definitely had the Vel'Koz support.
Vel'Koz support for elusive was doing work sometimes.
Well, I mean, and that's kind of what I expect to see out of elusive, as he is very good individually, but it's just gonna be difficult to make plays happen. On that.
But yeah, I mean, Trundle top as well was doing Trundle things.
He honestly almost was their way into winning the game.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of times where it was the Trundle just like taking a tower, bot lane or top lane. Well, whatever happened at the other half of the map happened. So
yeah, it was very exciting because game one it was like, oh, with this draft SDSMT can win, sure. Oh, and they didn't. Oh, dang.
And yeah, they did well, but they didn't end up winning. So
and then game two, they started.
Yeah, they started to look like they were going to win.
They're looking like they were going to win, and then it looked like we were going to lose, and then they're going to look like they were going to win again because of the Trundle, and then it was just very back. Yeah, it was very back and forth. But in the end,
I think a good showing from SDSMT, NDSU I know they drove there on the same day as well, but they had to play at 10 a.m., which meant, yeah, they had to get up a lot earlier. So
Yeah.
part of it could be just being tired from the drive over, getting up so early. So
Yeah.
but we
later
played.
that night, later that night we played. We played versus DSU, the host of the tournament.
Yes.
And this was something we realized while we were there. This is the 4th semester in a row that this is a semifinals matchup. It is.
This is not true at all, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Wayne State, I played against NDSU. I played against that man's Zaya as Ezreal at Wayne State, which is 2 semesters ago.
And that we played against SDSMT in 3rd place.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Oh, dang. Well, okay. Well, we just lied on cast. Then.
Your age is catching up to you, man.
Guys,
Wait, hold on. It was
did
me.
you not even choose
It was
to-
me and Caleb. Both of us.
Both of you guys thought?
Right in
Yeah.
here, There's no
Okay.
fault in here.
So,
and it's
yeah, obviously we
Tragic.
played this semester
Yeah.
against CSU. Last semester, we played against them, same place. Though it was us 1 seed, them 4 seed. But this time it's them 1 seed, us 5th seed.
Mm.
And then
Semester
the semester
before
before,
that.
we played at Wayne State for the LAN.
Mm-hmm.
We were 3rd seed, and DSU was 2nd seed.
Mhm.
DSU was 1st seed.
And then before that, we also played versus DSU, though.
Yes. And
So-
then it was again, because right now it's been STSMT has gotten in the 3rd, 4th place match 4 consecutive times now. And we've played against them 3 times, 3 of those 4 times.
Last semester?
last semester.
No,
was-
last
yeah.
semester.
Augustana.
Yeah, it was Augustana.
What did STSMT shut it down?
SDSMT couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, ISU couldn't make it.
No,
ISU couldn't make it,
ISU
then
couldn't make it.
STSMT couldn't make it.
So that's why Augustana was called.
That's why Augustana. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my memory's bad as well.
Wow.
Though
It's
STSMT probably
spreading.
would have been 3rd, 4th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably. But we had this. We had this series.
We had this series,
which
which was not the most interesting one.
no, it
I
was
mean-
it was a 2-0.
You casted it. I played in it. I mean, if you want to ask me questions, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, I was gonna start off with kind of the game plan going in, because obviously we first picked the Braum,
Yep,
which I feel like sounds like we're very comfortable on that. How is
Brahm's just a somewhat more of a prio pick in CCL because it's just very reliable, hard to mess up on. The teams, when you play in a lower the Masters, I think you definitely, when you play engaged, you can mess it up a little bit more easy, and you want to play more engaged because it's a bit easier anyway. So Brahm's just good into that. And then we're also just more comfortable on the Braum, and we have a lot of good pairings with it. So first pick that.
And then I guess my next question was on the Lilia, because I know that we've been talking about the Lilia, about how it's pretty good, but it's more of a deeper pool pick. But it came out game 1. All you see is Vi Kaisa, so you know that they're the engage.
Yeah. So obviously, Lilia, thinking about the champion high level, it doesn't have a whole lot of going in, but it has a lot of AoE stuff, right? So usually you play it into those comps that want to sort of go all in on top of you, in which the Lilia can hit her Q and her W and her E a lot more and get the sleep. And when you pick Vi Kaisa, I mean, you know it's going to be most likely an engaged support, whether that be a Nautilus, Rel, Leona, whatever, someone who goes in. And then we just know Fuyu, or DSU's top laner, plays those melee types of like Cassante, Mbessa, Ornn, etc., etc. So we were kind of we kind of knew they had 3 melee champs plus Kaisa, which also goes in. So it was going to be a good pick either way. And I mean, when it's a good pick, you should pick it, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
But I think part of that game plan kind of went awry whenever suddenly they lock in this 4th pick. How was that in your guys' minds at all? Did you guys know that the Fiddlesticks was a possibility for DSU?
No, funnily enough, later that day I heard somebody else completely unrelated to CCL talk about how Fiddlestick support is really good. I think just talking about it in-game specifically, it actually didn't change a whole lot because actually watching the game through, I think you kind of would realize that the game doesn't change a whole lot if they picked a different support because the reason why they won wasn't inherently because Fiddlesticks as a champion was doing Fiddlesticks thing.
Mhm.
It was just overall they were just better than us at doing stuff. So
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of how game 1 went. Game 2, somewhat similar. But though it felt better.
Yeah,
Game 2.
I think game 1 we didn't take enough fights, and in game 2 we just didn't win enough fights, and then we had some bad fights here and there.
Mhm.
But it felt a lot better because it definitely felt like we didn't want to lose in peace,
Mhm.
letting them scale up or just take objectives for free or whatever. So we tried to fight them on it, and we didn't do as well as we could have. So
Yeah, I mean, obviously going into this series, we were technically the underdogs.
I mean, we just were the underdogs.
We were the underdogs. But you kind of have to go in with a mentality of, do you feel like...
Yeah, I mean, obviously I go into the mentality that we can win this series, and if we play well, we can. And that should be the mentality for any player going into any game.
Yeah.
So.
And how do you kind of carry that mentality over after game 1? Because, I mean, the team definitely continued to try. That is something that it wasn't like we made less plays. It wasn't like we were trying to avoid losing. We were trying to win.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think my mindset is the last game, in a literal sense, doesn't matter at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't matter if they won by 25,000 gold or if they won by a backdoor nexus at 55 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
The next game is the next game, and it has no effect on the next one. So, yeah, if you lose a game, then, I mean, you can just win the next one anyway. There's nothing that is preventing you to do it. So,
yeah. Was there anything about this game that you kind of wanted to highlight? Obviously, the York is... there was a little bit of a priority presence on York at this tournament.
Yeah, York is pretty strong overall. Just has his jungle clear is very weird because his ghouls can solo red buff, and he can be doing both like Krugs and Raptors during that time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's very strong, and then the top lane obviously does pretty well. And this guy plays a lot of York anyway, so he just picked the York jungle. I don't again.
Or this was York top.
Oh, this was the York top.
Yep.
They picked York jungle in a different series.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't think like any one champion was inherently the reason why we were losing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, obviously, they made some plays because of their champion strengths, but I do think if you sub out a champion for a different one that fills a similar role, I don't think it massively changes the game. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, games did not go our way.
No.
We ended up going to the third place games, and we'll talk about those a little bit later.
After.
We're going to go to a quick mini game. Jay.
We have some fortunate news for everyone.
It's fortunate for you, Joe.
Well, it's great news for everyone, to be honest.
Yeah, great news for everybody. But based off of the math, we have one episode left, and this episode. That's
2.
That's 2 episodes.
That's 2 points you could win.
Yeah, but our score line is currently 7-4. But that doesn't add up. So the most Patrick can get
is 6.
So we're doing extra episodes. We're going to do bonus points.
He wants me to do this during finals week.
Absolutely, so that I don't have to drink milk.
Well,
and
Patrick's
run.
Sorry, you're going to be drinking milk and running. But you can make it a less horrific loss.
Yeah.
That's the
You
plan.
can make it look like it was close. When
It
in
was
reality,
close. It's been close.
When in reality, he's never been closer.
It's been at week 1. It was real close. Let me tell you. Tied ball game.
Tied ball game.
But this week's game is find the one that does not match.
One of these things is not like the others.
Yes, one of these things are not like the other. So I will have a clock, so you guys can't overthink.
Oh, come on. That's what we do
Okay.
here.
Okay.
So, just to say, so we just raise our hand and then.
You raise your hand. You have as much time. You have 3 guesses to guess. Okay. One of these things are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a point for guessing the thing that's wrong, and you get an extra point if you can guess why.
Okay.
No, an extra point.
Yes.
Okay.
So the max you could get is 10. The least you get is 0.
If he says the right thing that's wrong, but not the reason, can I say the reason and we both get a point? Or no?
No. So if you guys, once you get the right thing, then you can guess it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I will give you a minute for each question.
For each question or guess?
For each question.
Oh my god.
Okay. Ready?
We get 3? 3 guesses?
Yes. 3 guesses. Okay, we need to set the right tone.
Okay.
Okay. So here's your first one. It's Rocket Belt, Zanya's Hourglass, and Zeke's Convergence. Yes, Joe?
Zeke's, and it doesn't have AP.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
Or, wait, no. You got the right one.
Oh, okay.
But not the right thing.
Right.
So it is oops.
Doesn't have.
It does not have an active.
Or it has a...
It doesn't have an active.
It does not have an active.
It has a passive. It has a passive that you can proc.
The difference between a passive and active is you have to hit a button.
I mean, you can click the button on Zeke's Convergence to assign it to someone, right?
No.
This guy doesn't know what Zeke's Convergence does.
That's nice.
Oh, did did they remove that?
Convergence is
It's the little.
I know, but they used to have it so that it was connected to someone
But
else.
this is current Zeke's.
I was thinking.
This is current.
So
I'm
I accidentally jumped the gun on that one, but the score is 1-0.
Okay.
Okay. Let me reset my clock, because Joe, you were fast on that one. Here's your next one. It's Annie, Malzahar, and Lucian. Yes.
Lucian.
Okay.
Lucian does not have pets.
You are correct.
Oh.
It is Lucian. Lucian does not have a summonable thing.
Summonal. I thought about doing CC for Lucian.
I was thinking about CC, but
and
then
then
they had
mid lane.
inconsistent CCs.
Well, I guess he's a mid laner sometimes.
So the thing was, so you got 2 points, Patrick. So it's 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first person to say the right one, and then you can guess it. Okay. Okay. So here's your next one. That is Nautilus Q.
Yeah, Camille
Camille
E. And
that is Rek'Sai W. It's the dash.
That is the R then, or is it the E? Like you go burrow and go.
It's the E.
It's the E.
It's the E.
Wait. No, that's Void Rush. That is.
That's his R.
That's the R. That's her R.
Oh, dang it.
Yes, Joe.
Rek'Sai E.
Yep.
And then it cannot dash to walls.
I will give you that.
It's that it's not a dash, right? That's the.
No, the other two can go to walls.
It is not a terrain-based dash. So if you go back,
is it a dash?
Nautilus Q is a.
No. Rek'Sai is technically not a dash.
Yeah, I didn't think Rek'Sai. That's what I was saying. Is Rek'Sai.
None of these are dashes, but
but it's terrain.
The other two can be used on terrain.
Dash. Yes. So the other two can be used as a dash in terrain because Poppy.
I would say
Nautilus Q.
Hold on.
And E.
I think the way we should phrase it is, Rek'Sai E cannot use terrain as movement.
I thought we said this was the ultimate.
Or the ultimate. It's the.
Or the ultimate, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because my thought is that Poppy W can't knock up Rek'Sai during ultimate.
Oh, but either way.
That's why those two are dashes and that one's not.
Well,
that was my thought process.
Based off of
none of them are technically dashes for the record.
I think technically you're in a dashing state.
Listed as dashes.
Yeah.
Within WoW-Wiki.
Oh really? Even Rek'Sai?
But those two, the left.
Actually, Rek'Sai goes under Poppy. That's why.
Yeah.
He has special interactions with the Z.
So.
But it's not the E. It's the ultimate.
This is
the ultimate.
I keep on thinking it's the ultimate.
So, Nautilus, Dredgeline, and Hookshot
unstoppable
are listed as terrain-based.
Yeah, they can be used on terrain essentially.
Yes, they can be used as. That's why you can interact it with Poppy, and then Void Rush is not.
Okay,
so 3-2. Okay. Let me reset the clock. And here's your next one. So that is Shurnfire, Slushy, and I Will Dominate. Yes, Patrick.
Slushy.
Sure.
Because he's not a jungler.
Do you have any more insight? I'll give it to you, but
he's not an NA jungler.
You got it right with your first.
That's also just not true.
Shurnfire
is not a.
Turnfire is also not.
He's
from
an
NA.
OCE
He's
player.
OCE.
Hasn't he played NA though?
He has
Yes,
played.
He has.
So
Slushie
I mean,
has though, right?
Slushie has.
Oh, okay.
But for Echo Fox, I thought.
Yep. Patrick, I'll give
So,
you the
yeah,
two. He's
I know
not a jungler.
He's not a jungler.
Slushie was a mid laner for TL, not a jungler.
Oh, true.
Because all of those were junglers. So, 3, 4.
Four.
To 3.
Oh, 3 to 3.
Because I didn't get it. I didn't get the reasoning for it. Oh no, I did get the reasoning. I did say he's not a jungler.
3, 4.
I just
Okay.
didn't say that he's not. He was a mid laner specifically. Okay. Okay.
3, 4. Okay, so your next one, Orianna, Rise, and Azir. Yes, Patrick.
Rise does not have enemy displacement.
Nope. Yes.
Ori's technically not living.
Nope.
Okay.
Yes, Patrick.
Rise does not Rise does not have a controllable Azir's
entity.
got sold entities. Yeah, that's a good.
No.
But no.
About 27 seconds.
20 minutes.
Yes, Joe.
Azir doesn't have a slow.
Nope. Oh well, you
It's,
got the
it
Azir
is
part.
Azir. Yeah, we know it's Azir.
Okay, it's Azir.
It's Azir. So Joe, you got 1.
Okay.
You get the guess.
Oh Lord, I have no clue. He's the only one who has a dash, I suppose.
No. You still get your point.
Oh, wait. He's the only one who doesn't have a faker skin.
You are correct. That is the
What?
That is the guess. Baker does not have an Azir skin.
Gosh.
You know who has an Azir skin though?
Easy Hood.
Easier. So, Patrick, you seem
I cannot believe that.
you seem so defeated on that one. But that is our last question.
I even knew. Well, I mean, because we knew by process of elimination it was Azir, so I was trying to wait until I could figure out what was wrong with it.
So that makes it 5-4 as our final score for this one, meaning the scoreline now is 8-4 to 1.
Thank you, green guy. Thank you, green guy.
Next week we will have a game. So Patrick, you can still make it 8-5.
8 to 5. I can do 8 to 5. I can do my work schedule. I can make it 8 to 5.
Yep.
All right.
That'd be brilliant.
Actually, banger. Clutch up with the faker. I thought, because, hold on, if I can for a second.
Yeah.
I was thinking, because Azir has a championship skin, but so doesn't Rise, but Orianna didn't. So I thought about skins, and then I realized that Orianna has a SKT skin.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's the most random thing.
I'm happy. I'm happy with my enemy displacement one though.
That is, that makes sense.
That was a good one.
The Nautilus Chameleon one was also pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, remembering that both goes to walls essentially was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay, well, back to the LAN.
Back
to the point of this, because we can forget that minigame. Who needs to remember the fact that I'm losing my 4-8? Who needs to remember that part? But let's talk about UNO versus SDSMT.
Yeah, the perennial third place match, it feels like.
Which did go all 3 games.
It did.
Let's start off with that first game, which draft was relatively normal, though.
Yeah. Do you want to ask questions?
Pantheon.
Yeah, Pantheon.
So what was the
Pantheon's turbo here, by the way.
what was the thought process behind that? Because I don't think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that's something that we have practiced in scrims.
No, but as in the quote from the man Barrel himself, if you aren't willing to first time a champion on stage, just retire.
Yeah, and sure. as a pro player, maybe that's
to be fair, the Pantheon did not do that bad.
it didn't do that
There
bad.
were some small things here and there that could be better, obviously.
Yeah.
But the reason why it was picked is because we had the Ari, we couldn't play Vi, and they had Caitlyn and Victor. And Pantheon just works well into everything. When I press R on top of somebody's head, they can't really run away very well. And obviously the Ari Pantheon, pretty good 2v2, has a good amount of damage in CC. So
Yeah. No, makes sense. I'm curious on why it's not just Sejuani. Obviously, like
we have Ari Varus.
You have Ari. You don't have a melee, but it does still work.
Like I'm just like throwing R at Caitlyn Victor, hoping it hits essentially. As opposed to the Pantheon gets a little bit more damage and can be a flex technically to the support because we do play it there, and it's overall it's just a better pick.
No, I think that's fine. And the other thing was I thought it was interesting that we put Isaac Wolf on Ornn game 1 because if I'm remembering correctly, we are always talking about how we like to play through top lane. Top lane is like the really big powerhouse, but then we choose to open up this series with him on Ornn.
He requested the Ornn essentially. He said that he wanted some more engage because right now we had the Pantheon, which has engaged, but also is like not an engaged champ in that way, I guess. Like you don't engage the team fight with just Pantheon R. Right. You do it with the Ornn R, with the Ornn R, with the RER. So we kind of need to engage, and then I think Isaac himself has come to the conclusion that while he does like playing picks like the Garen and Darius, he's not essentially that super strong top side like a Zeus per se, where he's just like he can be given a ton of resources to just completely carry the game or whatever. I think he sort of likes to have the option to get ganked sometimes, but doesn't. He talks a lot about how he wants us to play through the bot lane or mid lane a bit more than playing through top lane, essentially.
Fair enough. And I mean, that definitely makes sense. But going in, switch up game 2, because we
we didn't talk about game 1 that much.
I get, or what specifically?
Trump carried on Victor. You got a pentakill at like 50 minutes, so.
Yeah.
Honestly, if their mid lane was a bit worse, I know he got a massive lead early in the mid lane. He's just better at laning. And then the Ori Victor matchup, you definitely can. The Victor, I wouldn't say is hugely favored, but it's very playable for him. And if he's good, he can find those massive leads if he plays it well. And he did. And he carried the team essentially. Pantheon did do a few things, I feel like. The few good engages mid and or onto their bot lane, mid and bot lane, I guess. Finding some good kills here and there. But at the end of the day, Victor sort of won them the game. That was the York jungle game I was talking about as well. So,
yeah, it was a more clean. It was probably one of their cleanest games, I think.
Yeah, it definitely got to the point where it was like we had to engage, but we were also like we're far enough behind where it's kind of impossible to win a fight. So,
yeah. And then I kind of want to talk about the mental shift that you kind of have to take out of game 1 going into game 2 because. It's a similar thing that happened with DSU, except this time it goes out for the better. Do you think that there was anything different?
Not really. I just think we're a lot closer to SCSMT skill level, and when we find a draft that we like and we make the right early game plays, essentially, it's a lot better. And I mean, draft number 2 on paper looks a little bit mismatched, I guess. But I mean. It's super good for us, I feel like. So.
Yeah, I mean, we have Preston on Twitch, which is definitely a comfort pick for him.
The counter pick into Twitch.
Yep.
Or into Jinx,
into Jinx as well. Yeah, so even more comfort on top of that. And I know that I was actually talking to Chet before these matches, and he was talking about how Mel is just good.
Yeah.
He just really likes Mel.
I think some people think Mel is pretty good. I do think she's a little bit underrated, but I definitely think it depends on matchup, and then her into Ryze feels pretty nice because of the range. She just has massive amounts of range compared to the Ryze. And he certainly piloted the champion very well, had the very good TP to the mid lane tower to get not a triple kill, but almost a triple kill. And yeah, overall we just played a lot cleaner this series. Able to get a Preston, like 4-1, had some good tower dives bot lane. So
Yeah, that's exactly what we've been wanting to see for the whole season. So it's nice to.
Isaac told me he would not do what he does on set in Tower Dive level 3, and then do you know what he did?
What do you do?
Tower Dive level 3 by himself and died.
I mean, you guys won the game, so I think what that means is Isaac should keep doing that.
Yeah. Except for he didn't do it when we did it the first time, we lost the game. So
Yeah, so it's like a 50-50. It's like a 50-50.
Yeah.
So I think those are
literally
odds.
50-50 for now.
Those are odds right there. We need to stack those odds more in our favor. But kind of coming out of game 2, going into game 3, felt like another pretty close game. But I think it turned south a little bit faster.
Yeah. We started off solid. I mean, got a Preston a kill or two here and there. I got the first pick to buy this time. Got myself a few kills here and there, but their mid-jungle duo, the SSMT, got a few kills, got ahead, and they were able to run the game down on this Vex Viego that they're known for.
The Viego, I think in particular, was very much popping off. Not to discount the Vex, but the Viego was able to clean up a lot of fights and cause lots of chaos, we can say. Zaddy Freakpants did some good work on that jam.
Yes, he did. And then the Vian to Zaya Braum is a little bit rough, but it's not the end of the world. I do think you can just R the Vex or Viego if I needed to, and I did do that when I needed to. But yeah, we just mid-jungle got diffed, and they carried, which is kind of what you expect of SSMT when they win. And yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say because I think none of the games we played in either series were super entertaining in terms of they were all convincing wins, I'd say. Maybe they weren't inherently stomps, but I think all 3 games of the SSMT series was less than 26 minutes. So
yeah, and I think at the end of the third game, it felt like the most one-sided. It didn't feel that way at the start.
Yeah, it definitely got to the point where it's just Viego Vex were just too hard to kill.
Yeah.
Though I do think the fastest game was our win. So
yeah. Wait, our game 2?
Yeah, game 2 was about 23 minutes. Yeah. I mean, sometimes because it was the Dragon Soul for us, and we just walked in and killed them, and then we TP'd bot lane and ended. So, yeah, bit disappointing series from us.
Yeah. How do you
1-4 overall at the LAN? So
yeah, kind of how do you feel like the team was able to kind of handle the rest of the after obviously the game? This is the end of the season. How did it feel like from you for
the rest of the
reaction? Yeah.
They felt fine for the most part. Obviously the third, fourth place match is you're not gonna lose your mind if you lose it or whatever. As much as it probably hurts to lose semifinals more than third, four. But it was disappointing obviously, and everyone was down. But people got back to the hotel and started doing other things. So
yeah, and everyone ended up staying, so that was very cool to see, and everyone stayed to watch. Or I guess maybe not in person, but everyone stayed to watch the grand finals. NDSU versus DSU, definitely a banger series.
Pretty good overall.
Did not make me stay up until 3 a.m. this time, so I appreciate you guys for saving my voice. That was super cool. NDSU, let's just kind of go game by game. DSU had a pretty good showing. It felt actually like it was a flipped of the script. Game 1.
NDSU picked a lot more early game aggression-esque type of champs. Had the Corky Nom, had the Viego with it as well, had the Victor for a bit of scaling, but yeah, DSU picked Smolder, Azir, Braum.
Yeah.
And I know the Smolder specifically was a denial from NDSU. So yeah, they had tons of scaling, and then they got to the point where, DSU was ahead for most of the game, but NDSU never really gave up, but eventually got to the point where Azir Smolder was just too much for them. So.
Yeah, I think that watching the draft go by, I definitely thought the nameplates were just going to be were just wrong. I actually thought something was wrong until we got into game. But once we got into the game, there were some glaring issues, which was top lane for NDSU. Dreadfulness had a pretty rough game versus the Ambessa on Mundo, which actually ended up being the final straw that broke the camel's back whenever Fuyu was able to find Chanter on the Corky.
Where Fuyu was playing Ambessa.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah. Fui was playing Ambessa,
Found
found
the Corki.
Chanter, who was playing Corki.
Yeah.
One fight, it broke open the rest of the game. But
Yeah, DSU played very well game 1. I know we were getting Dairy Queen at the time, so I wasn't watching as intensely.
yeah.
But game 2,
Game 2, NDSU strike back.
yeah, I think. So I actually want to hear. I want to hear your opinions on the draft overall.
Well, NDSU, they go for more of their style. R1, R2, slamming back the Jinx Ivern. And they end up going for Galio. They go for Galio support. Actually, that was the crazy part about it. And I know in draft we were really thinking about where it could go mid lane, and it feels fine, but it's obviously a flex. But we were thinking more than likely it's going to go mid lane, just because it feels like it makes more sense. But then obviously they do end up locking in the Syndra, which gives them, it kind of opens up the draft because DSU slammed the Fiddlesticks again.
Yes, they did.
And this game it did not look as good.
No. Yeah, Fiddlesticks needs a few things to happen for him to go right. He needs I think his team comp overall, he has a Zinzao, a Twitch, a Swain, and Yone on his team, which is sort of not what he wants stylistically. They don't control space super well by themselves. There's no beefy front line that threatens CC if somebody walks up or whatever.
Right.
So Fiddlesticks can't really find those engage angles in Fog of War as easily. And then, yeah, I mean, when you're Fiddle R-ing on top of a Cho'Gath Galio as a front line, it's going to be...
It just feels bad.
It feels bad. And then if you hit the Jinx, she's got the Ivern on top of her, got the Syndra to be able to push it away a bit more. And then, yeah, I think... I was gonna ask you specifically on Swain, I suppose. Do you think Swain's good here? Because this was a debate between... Not even a debate, but Kelpo and I talked about it, and then we talked about one of the Augustana guys as well, about who actually won to this draft, because some people thought DSU won this. So
really, so I just think NDSU is so simple. Their game plan is it's Jinx, and then you have a ton of tools to protect the Jinx. And the biggest issue was who is actually going to be able to follow up on getting onto the Jinx, because Yone obviously can go in pretty deep. Zinzao can almost, but I mean we'll get knocked back by Yone is the only person that can reliably get onto Jinx.
Twitch definitely has angles to do it, but needs a little bit more creativity. So.
Right. So whenever you have something like that, it means that, and we saw in one of the fights how it ended up playing out, which is obviously I have some bias based on watching the game. So it's hard to kind of separate those two things of how I think about this draft conceptually versus how I literally watched it play out. But it's just the Swain obviously feels good because there's Cho'Gath Galio. Yeah,
so the main argument for the DSU comp was Swain is good because they are into Cho'Gath Galio and can just sit on that R forever essentially. But obviously the rough part about it is the Jinx Syndra. It's just you're never going to get to actually hit them.
Right.
Realistically, technically, you can hit the E on them, pull them in, or whatever. But Syndra Jinx are able to just out DPS them from outside of his circle. The biggest strength for DSU's comp was technically the Yone. If Yone could hit 3 items, essentially, he was unstoppable on the side lane.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, no one person on NDSU can answer them, and no 2 people on NDSU can answer them, to be honest.
Yeah.
No. They definitely needed more people, and if DSU really wanted to do this, they needed a bit of a different comp around Yone, or needed to play more for the Yone split. So.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned something about that once Yone starts getting unlocked, the side lane starts to get impossible.
Yeah, because Yone gets the blade for Cho'Gath, gets some of the crit, and it just becomes Syndra would have to one-shot him, but usually Yone isn't that squishy, so.
Right.
No.
But the game did not go that late.
Nope.
And actually, we ended up getting to fights where I think they were going in on Ivern, and they used full Yone comp, or I think it was full No, his full fiddlesticks are, and Ivern was at full health the entire time. And then he gets Yone comboed, and he gets down to like half health. And now Jinx just gets to free fire forever, and then they just end up wiping the fight. And NDSU end up winning the game very convincingly, and it created a very large shift for the rest of the series.
Yeah. So next game, NDSU chose blue side, or DSU chose red side, yeah, I guess. NDSU ended up on blue side. Mel first pick.
Yeah, and this is a large pick for him. Him has been performing very well. He's him. And him has been doing lots of things, especially on Mel, and had an outstanding game this game.
Yeah,
I think
some interesting picks that you don't see in the Shen and the Chen coming out from NDSU.
Yeah.
And the Olaf counter pick for DSU, in theory, is supposed to be good here, I think.
So I was thinking that early Shen should be doing better than how it was going. Shen should be acting more like a lane bully into Olaf. I could be wrong about that. Conceptually, in my mind,
Well,
conceptually, I think Olaf still wins
yeah,
early.
thought process is you have Shen W to mitigate, plus you have dash to sort of taunt him.
You have to dash out is the
Yeah,
only thing,
yeah, you
but even then
basically-
you can get
Right.
under token slow Shen for the good
Yeah.
trade.
yeah.
Because as soon as Shen W runs out, Olaf will win anyway, even
Yeah.
if he lost the trade
And
beforehand.
even if you trade against Olaf, when you're up, he's just going to trade it right back due to passive.
Yeah,
Also,
I
Has
guess
the life steal.
the thought process is Shen taking short trades is just better for Shen because of the shield with the passive.
is it?
Because like he mitigates all the damage with W, so you just wait until W cooldown.
But can Shen
Can-
realistically take a short trade without Olaf just making a
Yeah,
long
because
trade?
like any short trade now.
Yeah, he
turns
just
into-
dashes.
No,
Well, then he gets if he gets hit
Yeah.
by Q, then he just won't be taking a long Q.
so
Like you're essentially only betting that Shen will dodge the. He will find a short trade, dash out, and then dodge the Olaf Q as well. Because if he gets hit by the Olaf Q, he will lose the trade.
also like any short trade now gonna turn into a longer trade once Olaf hits 3. Because you also have undertow to think about.
Wait, that's what I just said. Yeah, if he
Or not
wants
undertow,
reckless swing.
yeah, you have swing.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it definitely is like something Shen isn't gonna. It's not the end of the world because it does take some thinking to do for Olaf, and if Olaf misplays it, it's pretty Shen favored, I think. Though I think it's on the Olaf to determine how the lane goes.
Sure.
So.
But yeah,
Though I don't think top lane was the end all be all in this game anyway. So
no, it wasn't. And I think the bigger factor was just the mid lane. It went pretty Mel favored. Had a lot of really good reflects. But silently, the Xayah was also doing
yeah, Chanter was doing a lot
a
on the Xayah. I know he's into the Vi, he's into the Kai'Sus and Alistar Olaf. A lot of champions that Xayah wants to be in a Xayah classic Kai'Sa Vi counter, just with the R and the fact that she gets to kite back essentially and pull the feathers into champions that are trying to run at her. But you know, I do think NGC played it very well. The Janna pick that people don't pick enough, by the way.
great pick.
It's a great pick.
Phenomenal.
It did pretty well. Wasn't like absolutely smurfing the game, but like was doing what she needed to do with her R and Q. And yeah, I mean, NDSU got to the point where their team fight was just better with the Mel Xayah, and they were just outplaying DSU. I remember this last team fight
Last
specifically.
fight with Xayah.
It was essentially a 1v1 between Olaf Xayah, and then
And Olaf just had to run away.
yeah, Olaf just had to run away, and then Mel killed everyone else.
Yep.
So
Fight went really NDSU favored. They went up 2-1 into the series.
yep,
Uh,
and in game 4,
on to game 4, and it
misfortune.
was a interesting draft. This was
It started off pretty normal.
pretty normal. Yeah. So we have DSU with the Gwen.
Gwen first pick, technically flex jungle top lane, though they don't play top lane much. So
Yeah, you're also taking away from green guy.
Mhm.
So like I don't hate that. The response with Ash Karma feels kind of okay.
Yeah, Ash, Carmen technically flex pick, I suppose.
Yeah.
Though you would expect it to go support as well. Just a dominant duo, the ones that they're also comfortable on. But then DSU, Ornn, Rel, playing for a little bit of wombo combo.
Yeah, I think they showed too much of their hand. picking the Ornn now,
Mm-hmm.
I think I would. You see what's most likely the bot lane matchup. I think you should feel more comfortable with picking your bot lane here, even though the Karma is a flex.
I do think you could have taken mid lane instead of Ornn as well. I do think Rel here is perfectly fine. I know in lane, Ashe Karma is going to abuse it a bit, but you're also not really playing for lane at that point because it's
Right.
Ashe Karma. There's not really many winning lanes. So.
Right. Yeah, you could go for something a little bit different here. But going the Ornn makes it so that NDSU were able to get a comfortable matchup in the top lane, which was, I think, game one was DSU's way into the game. It was the way that they were able to swing the door open. But they give Dreadfulness a pretty solid
With Set.
with the Set. And Set did really good.
So it's a pretty well.
Dreadfulness killed it on this pick.
But then
The second half of the draft happened.
So obviously DSU has Gwen, Ornn, Rel.
Mm.
So I haven't picked AD carry, and there's like a super good AD carry. It's an AoE spell on her R.
Could you say it 50 times behind me real quick?
Yeah, Misfortune. It's turbo here, right? But NDSU banned Sivir Varus, which is, I know, comfort picks for Momo.
Yeah.
Though Misfortune's a comfort pick if you play AD carry and have an R button. Yeah, it was a bit confusing, but NDSU had the pick first, and they picked Talia.
Talia, which was pretty solid pick.
I massively disagree, actually.
You
So from a theory standpoint,
Okay.
at least, when you see Talia in games, look at her rest of the comp. You always see something either. Talia's usually played mid, was played jungle this game. You always see essentially either jungle or support be a Nautilus, Sejuani, Skarner,
Yeah.
Leona. These types of CC champs that have pretty reliable CC that you're going to hit. Not every time, but 99% of the time, essentially. Like when you get good, you can hit Nautilus Q most of the times. And then when you have that CC, Talia WE combo is practically impossible to miss. But I mean, I'm looking as a Talia, right? And I have Ashe. All right, she has her R,
She has her R.
suppose. I have Karma.
W technically, but
W,
not-
but also like my support's running melee range as an enchanter, and it's also like
if the fight lasted long enough for the W
the
to actually
W has to land as well, which is another thing. And then Set top lane is okay. I mean, the E is a bit odd just because it's the pull, and then the R also is like pushing him away essentially. And then the R5, which we will talk about,
Yeah.
also does not really have a good CC button that Talia can reliably hit off of. So,
Which is actually really funny because that's what ends up being the big kicker. But DSU don't pick the Misfortune.
no, they pick Ari first, which is fine.
They pick Ari.
I think it's
Normal
fine.
pick.
It's a little
And-
bit magic heavy.
And then they pick Vayne.
Bane. Now, it's not the worst pick, I think. However, so it loses lane very hard.
Why is it not the worst pick?
Okay, hold on.
I don't like
It loses lane pretty hard, obviously.
it.
The
Loses
Rel
lane very
Vayne,
hard.
It's not a great synergy with Rel at all. I mean,
You're in.
Vayne's follow-up on engage is fine, but Rel wants more AoE stuff, which she has in Gwen technically. But yeah, and the main thing was that NDSU did not have reliable CC, as I just talked about, right? So if Vayne can get to those 3 to 4 items, where she has the Bork, Rageblade, Terminus, maybe a tank item like Jack Show or whatever, there is just a point where if Vayne plays it well, she can't just sort of win a team fight no matter what. But it's a very big if. The Vayne has to play well, I think. Has to make sure it doesn't get hit by Talia E, doesn't get set R, doesn't hit by Ashe, all that stuff. And has to also have 3.5 to 4 items. It's a very much a high elo. You have to play for late as well.
Right.
Which is, to be fair, something DSU should be doing with the Ornn Gwen, I think. But R5.
R5. Vigar goes hard here. Vigar.
It's pretty solid pick, yeah.
I love Vigar here, especially because the big thing is it completely shuts down basically everything DSU wants to do.
It definitely Rel, Ari, to to an extent, and then Vayne.
Yeah.
I'll definitely struggle.
If Talia's worked ground. What's the worked ground is the Q passive.
Yes.
The E. If the Talia E does not, if that wasn't a zone enough for things that all of these dash champions, you have Vayne, you have Ahri, you have Rel, you have Ornn, you have Gwen. If that's not enough, then you also have Baby Cage with Veigar Event Horizon. You have now suddenly it's just impossible to like approach team fights.
And then because you have the Talia Ash Karma, it does seem pretty well. Though it's a very scuffed draft that can probably you can find a counter pretty easily.
Yeah, I think if the picks go differently, I think NDSU's draft doesn't make sense in a vacuum. In a vacuum, but against DSU is
it's pretty good.
Is turbo because they couldn't do anything the entire game.
I do think that at the end of the day, if DSU picks Misfortune, it just changes everything.
It just changes everything.
Because if Rel gets like one good flank, Rel R, Misfortune R, they essentially have 5 squishies. Misfortune's going to one-shot everyone. That was
the other thing. There's no tanks, so there's not a real good reason, I think, to... I know that Vayne's not... Vayne is like...
Vayne is a tank killer.
She is a tank killer, but that's usually not why you actually pick her.
Yeah.
There's other characters that you'd pick if I want to deal with
I definitely
tanks.
think like you would rather have a Kog'Maw if you see 3 front line as opposed to Vayne.
Right.
Whereas Vayne feels like a lot more of a... they only have Cho'Gath per se.
Right,
which is a champion that can never really lock Vayne down.
Yeah, if they just have unreliable CC is the really big thing.
I think a few other, like a little bit lower range as well. So.
Yeah, but with pretty high range and lots of zones of control, makes it just impossible for DSU to fight.
Yeah.
Which means that NDSU ended up winning.
Yes, they played pretty well.
Pretty convincing fashion.
Was this the most convincing game, you think?
I'm thinking that it's the second game that felt like the most convincing game because it felt the least like...
DSU ever had a chance? Or?
Yeah. Or actually, I'd say in the last game it felt like DSU had less of a chance. But it felt like that was just because draft.
Yeah. I mean, the Vayne... Like, it's really... I do think if you just...
If it just goes late enough...
If you put Misfortune instead of Vayne, I just think, like... Looking at DSU's comp, there's always a change.
Yeah.
Because you always can hit a good R into Gwen R, into Bell R, into Misfortune R.
Yeah.
Doesn't, you would always be able to win a team fight, in theory. But with the Vayne, it becomes a lot more.
Yeah.
You have to scale a bit more. You have to play really, really well on the Vayne. And, I mean, congrats to NDSU.
Yeah.
You played really, really well. I know you guys watch it. Or some of you guys watch this, so.
Yeah. And
we love you.
Is it their first CCL victory?
They've been in finals the last 4 times, at least.
At least, I'm because it starts to get hazy the farther I go back. Because I know
we've already talked about the history. We already know that we're unreliable.
I know it was NDSU this, UNL last semester, and then the 2 before was DSU.
DSU and
NDSU.
And then before that,
5. Before
the 3 before that, because that was also DSU versus NDSU.
That's the thing. I don't remember that one.
Because that one was with Ferret as jungle.
No. Because
before Wayne State.
NDSU was this. UNO was last semester. Wayne State.
Mm-hmm.
And then so 2 in a row for DSU. Because that was...
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was
and
that one we're saying
the one
3.
before, we didn't attend because we were first seed, and then we couldn't make it. We only had 4 people who were able to go. Mm-hmm. That was with Seth and Jake and Sungjin.
It's been a long time for NDSU.
The semester before that, I know we won with the Jason, Seth, Thomas roster. And then the semester before that, we won with the Greg, Nick, Jerry, Jake. Then before that, I do not know.
History over here. What the heck? But NDSU won this one.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Finally did it.
They did it.
I presume they finally did it. They might have won that one semester, I suppose.
Yeah. But we can talk about kind of bringing it. This is the Cornhusker Cooldown.
Yes. So we can talk about ourselves a little.
Let's talk about how our team went. We have some stats here for
Playoffs.
all of playoffs.
So quarterfinals included.
Yeah, so this includes our games versus NDSU JV, DSU, and SDSMT.
Yeah, but off the bat, I think you can see some stats that show what has been going wrong, I think, in the past few weeks. So specifically, very low first blood percentage from everyone. I do think we struggle a little bit early, but it would be nice to have someone to be close to 50%, which, yeah, I mean, Isaac and I have 14%, and then the bot lane has a 29%. And then mid lane participated in none. And then another another bad thing, mid lane, gold percent 19.3%. Especially when you are on the Hui, the Syndras, those type of carries, you do want to see a higher one coming out from him, just because you want your carries to have gold, I guess, so they can do damage. But yeah, lower than it should have been, and a lot of that gold ends up going to me as well. So
yeah, but on a positive note, I think bot lane definitely performed pretty well.
Yep.
8 CS and top lane as well, also almost at that 8 CS mark. A lot of the kill participation was around both jungle and ADC in support. So we are very bot lane focused when it comes to what we're playing towards. Damage percent, Kelpo was almost at 30%.
Yeah, I definitely, as someone who looks at a lot of stats, when you do look at a stat like damage percent, it does hurt, or it does help Kelpo in a way that gold card was also not getting a ton of gold, which means he was doing less damage, which meant that Kelpo in turn had a higher damage percent. So no slight on either of them, I suppose. Yeah. It's just stuff like that you should take with a grain of salt, I suppose. Because also it's like the old thing where it's like Uzi gold per minute was super high. It was like best in the world by far. But also RNG and Starhorn Royal, when it was back then, it was you gave all the gold to Uzi, and that's how you won the game. So it was, you take some of these stats with a grain of salt, and you need context to interpret them better, I suppose. So
yeah. And then I guess last thing I wanted to point out was the KDA award that I'm making up right now. Which
goes to Preston.
Preston with the 2.89.
I was 0.07 behind him.
Skill issue. Die one time less and you win.
True.
Get one more assist probably and you win.
That's actually not true.
It might be. I mean, you need you need 0.07.
Yes, but another.
I guess and
another
make it
thing,
so that Preston doesn't have.
Yeah, another stats thing is that in KDA, deaths are significantly more impactful than kills or assists. Yeah.
Right, but 0.07.
I mean, depending on, I would have to look at the actual.
Yeah, we'd have to do the math.
But like, honestly, if I got one less death, it would definitely.
Yeah,
put
sure.
me over, so.
But yeah, congratulations on finishing the season.
Yeah, not the. Definitely could have gone worse, but it definitely is a disappointing season overall, I feel like.
Yeah.
For us.
But hey, we made it to LAN, so I think that was something that we wanted to have be our minimum, and we made it. So I'm still happy with that. But now we want to kind of rotate back over to CCL, and we have some all-pro teams, all CCL teams. All CCL teams.
So let's start with the first team, of course.
Yes, we had some good discussions about who we wanted to put up here.
Yeah. We're going to go top to bottom. We have Wolf, UNL's top laner, as the first team top laner.
Yeah, almost all of these were contested for who we thought.
Almost
all of them.
Overall, I think the committee of myself, Patrick, and Jay came to the conclusion that he depended a lot, or I forgot how I was going to say it. He influences his team a lot, and when his team does well or poorly, he's doing well usually, and a very impactful person on the team is how I usually looked at these as well. And he's certainly the most impactful player in UNL and the most impactful player in the top line.
Yeah. And then another part of it was just on individual skill as well. Yeah. It does feel like I would choose Wolf over any of the top laners in CCL. So that added on top of that.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no. Going to jungle, green guy.
Green guy, I think that one was across the board.
It was pretty much across the board. He had Zaddy first. Jay did.
Yes, yeah, I think so.
But yeah, pretty much everyone agreed that green guy was one of the best junglers, and certainly NDSU has a lot of good players.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, when you do win the championship as well, you're gonna have a little bit of a boost for everyone. And yeah, I think green guy just overall plays pretty well, has a good champ pool, I think. And overall, I don't see anyone who's more deserving of first team, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Next up, mid lane. What's in my trunk?
He tried to argue it wasn't him, for the record.
I did, but it's hard not to say that he's not.
He's obviously the best mid laner in the league.
Correct. Yeah.
It doesn't inherently mean that he'll win every matchup,
Mm-hmm.
inherently carry every game. This is something, you know, Broken by Concept podcast.
Yep.
They talked about
Love those
smurfing a
guys.
little bit and how it's significantly harder for a challenger player like Trunk to just go into a diamond game and just like 1v9 on any champ,
Mm-hmm.
just because the level of the lower ranks have gotten so much higher. So, I mean, only having one challenger player isn't inherently going to make you win every game now. And we definitely saw that with SCSMT, but when you are a challenger, you are going to consistently do very well.
Yeah.
And that's what he did.
At basically every single game.
Yeah. Because, like, games against us,
Mm-hmm.
if Trunk wasn't doing super well, yeah, I mean, Trunk did well in the 2 games they won,
Mm-hmm.
didn't do as well in the game they lost. So a lot of stuff falls onto him specifically,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just overall a very good individual player as well.
Yeah,
So.
and he was part of the only victory versus the team that didn't make it to LAN, ISU. He was a very key part of that.
He was the part.
He was the part. He was the team for that game. So that's definitely another additional thing on top of it.
You know, the first
First uncontested one.
uncontested. Everyone had him first.
Melmo. Yeah, I mean, always a very consistent player. An absolute rock on his team. The team plays around him. They made it to finals. Always performed very well. Outstanding performance the entire season, even through finals. So it's, yeah. I don't know if there's.
I do think Chanter and him on an individual level are pretty close, but I think Melmo as a whole is more important to the DSU success and always does pretty well. So.
Yep. Absolutely. But last, but certainly not least,
Frauden.
Frauden.
Support, I think, was our most contested role.
This one was, though I think we landed on Frauden fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Just obviously being
again, I think it's the same as Green Guy, just a solid player overall. Contested from like an individual level can definitely be argued as the best support.
Mm-hmm.
And then as a team, seems to be making the good plays and won it all. So definitely gets a boost there. So
yeah, looks really good on the row. So
yeah.
Absolutely. But we move on to second team, second all CCL team, which top lane. This one was not contested. Once we sorted out where Wolf goes,
it was between Fuyu and Wolf for these essentially. We didn't even consider anyone else.
Well, we considered them,
but we didn't.
Not for very long.
Yeah. So when we were like, oh, we're making 2 teams, we put Fuyu and Wolf, and then we decided from there. But no, a very good weak side top laner. As far as I understand, he's also one of the bigger sort of shot callers or voices inside the game as well, which helps. But overall, been consistent over many splits. Was consistent this semester as well, and did what his team needed him to do. So
was a very key factor into winning their game versus versus NDSU in the finals as well. So yeah, just phenomenal job. For moving on to jungle, Zaddy, kind of similar to the way we talk about what's in my trunk.
Yeah. Definitely is a big part of, like, if Trunk's number 1, Zaddy's number 2 on that team. And
absolutely.
I mean, they don't necessarily, they both of them can carry a game, but when they do, it's both of them working in tandem very well together
Mhm.
that's able to actually win those games. And I think Zaddy, as an individual level, is probably the best jungler
Mhm.
in the league. So that helps him a lot in my eyes. And yeah, I think overall, I want to put emphasis on players that are either individually really good or
Mhm.
feel like they have a lot of impact on the team. So
Yeah, and I think this was also one that could have gone Zaddy going above Green Guy as well. But I think where we landed on was just the fact that Green Guy's impact resulted in the championship, and it's hard to kind of argue against that as well. But moving on to mid,
yeah,
is him.
it's him.
He's him.
He's certainly he is him.
Yeah.
Very, very good, especially first split in CCL.
Yeah. Phenomenal job.
Did very, very well. I would argue probably the biggest carry of NDSU, despite being on the second team. I just think that Trunk is just that guy. Like
Over Chanter?
I do think, like, from a game-to-game perspective, like holistically over the season, him might have done a bit more work overall. Though I do think Chanter's good enough to carry any game. So
Yeah, which I guess that's a good segue into Chanter.
yeah. I mean, this was another uncontested. Everyone had Chanter second behind Melmo. So
Yeah, it was incredibly consistent player on an individual level. Very good, but he's got lots of really good pieces around him, and absolutely performs. I think even though we were uncontested on Melmo versus Chanter, I think there's still a very good argument for Chanter over Melmo.
I'm both surprised and not surprised nobody put him over, because I do think, looking at it, you do think that Chanter is the guy on NDSU usually, and that they ended up winning, and that Chanter probably on an individual level might be, like, has an argument to be better than Melmo.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up putting him in second. I do think, next season or into, he can definitely be the number one guy. So
Yeah. And last, again, but certainly not least, is Brooksy. Another first year making it onto the all CCL team.
He's the lineman for DSU's football team.
Yeah. Multi-talented.
Multi-talented. But
yeah.
He's apparently a very big voice within the DSU team. And yeah, he did a solid job all semester long. I do think this was, again, support was the most contested. Elusive definitely could be on here, and I don't think a ton of people would be, bawling their eyes out. But yeah, Brooksy did well. We chose Braum because Braum was certainly one of his most impactful picks.
So I think Fiddlesticks would have been a funny pick here.
Fiddlesticks would be funny, though he went one on it.
True. But it's also like a very iconic. Who's going to play Fiddlesticks support? That's kind of crazy. But
congrats to Brooksy and everyone else on the second team and first team.
Yeah.
Everyone played pretty well. Yeah, I think, do you have anything you want to comment on the teams as a whole, I guess?
No, I think it was just a very successful season overall. And I was very happy with the way that the LAN, like how it's gone progressively over the past couple of years. CCL is starting to really improve.
We are certainly helping building up stories now. So
yeah, no, the narratives are starting to go crazy, and I can't wait for next semester when DSU start flopping early on and then start coming back in playoffs, and DSU are gonna keep killing it. And then
I know I think Fuyu is graduating. So
oh my gosh, he's been there for so long. I think it's him, Tenkize, and you have been with CCL the longest.
I think so. Because the NDSU's got mostly new players. This is actually dreadful. This is first split. Him's first split. Chanter in front, second split. Green Guy's third, fourth.
Something like, I think it's fourth.
Yeah. I do think Elusive's been here for a while. And then I think Edgo's still on the team, but I don't think he was playing. So.
Oh, really? No. That's a shout out. And then
there's
lots of older players that are still around.
But there's certainly a new batch of players, the freshmen, sophomores coming in. We have our own Kelpo as one of them. So
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where this continues to go.
think about it. This is Isaac's 4th season as well.
Oh my gosh, it's his 4th.
Dang old man, you're getting old.
Oh my gosh, Isaac's getting old. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I mean,
4th
he certainly
season.
turned into one of the best
Mhm.
top laners.
Yeah,
So
I'll be excited to see
Yeah.
where it continues.
I
to
do
go.
want to comment, like, hey, we see 4 NDSU players, right?
Mhm.
And then, yeah, I mean, obviously showing the consistency across the roster. So
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what's kind of going on behind the scenes that's able to make that happen.
they have 4 teams, and then they have decent alumni support. I know we have an alumni right here. So, but they have some of their older players who are masters, GM, or higher ranked, still involved in the community, whether become or is in the coaching or just running like
Community
essentially
events.
community events like
Yep.
for fun. I know they have the facility as well for them, and where they can run LAN every other week
Mhm.
for the community events. So
We should do that.
that is something we can do in the future.
We will do that when we have.
Any of their alumni beats ours in age.
In what?
In age.
Oh, no. I mean, we've got like a 85, 95-year-old over here.
Ah, like the Stone Age.
Stone Age. How old are you then? But I want to say one more thing.
The-
I think going into the season, I thought we were going to do better, obviously. Though, obviously, Isaac had a great season. But overall, do you think that going into the season, you thought there would be at least one more player in the top 2 for a role?
I think so. I think, yeah, I honestly, I think if we consider what the impression was at the beginning of the season, I think I wouldn't be shocked if any of the 4 players found their way into the top 2.
Yeah.
From my initial thoughts.
From our initial thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
I
think
definitely thought Kelpo and Gold Card, Preston and Chet were going to put up a pretty good fight to be able to probably be second for Gold Card because Trunk is just that guy.
Yeah, it's
And
hard
then for
to.
ADC, I definitely could see Preston getting to first if a few things went his way or if he played a bit better in his games.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, I thought Ben was going to be the best support.
I think he improved massively throughout the year.
Though
But I don't think I was expecting him to improve as much as he ended up improving. So that was a very pleasant surprise. And then I was definitely very looking forward to Kevin's improvement throughout the semester. So I was thinking that had some potential as well.
I definitely thought we were going to do better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, stuff happens.
But I mean it's not that potential's not there anymore.
No.
It just means we didn't hit the mark on
Yeah. There's
tapping into it.
a
quite
few
right.
things we'll have to work over the summer for.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't inherently just gameplay, I feel like. So.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see what things we switch up because this is episode 14 of Cornhusker Cooldown. We only have one more left.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Congrats on JV for winning their first playoff series, by the way.
Let's go. They're gonna keep moving forward.
Yeah, I think they play their second or their next series because they're in the losers bracket right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they play it before this comes out. So.
Okay, well, congratulations on that one too.
Oh yeah, I don't know who they're playing.
We don't know.
I don't know. I looked at their roster at one point and they had an Emerald player. But also we have Isaac.
We have Isaac, so I mean he popped off on the Aatrox in that
He did.
series. That
He
was
did very, very well on that. Is it full fearless? Do you know?
I think so. Yeah.
Ladies,
Style.
Take a screenshot.
Don't do it.
If you
Don't
want
do
the
it.
picture,
Forget this existed.
PM me on Discord.
We can just link it in the description.
True.
Why?
Because that's a great picture.
No.
That's a masterpiece.
Let it.
Man, no. If you are part of any of the other teams from CCL, feel free to send us a message about anything you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
Any insights you maybe want us to do, because it definitely was fun talking to Melmo and Green Guy
Yep.
on the podcast a lot, and just talking to some of the other people at the LAN.
Yeah.
I think having a better integration of the CCL community between some of the teams will help a lot with just the overall enjoyment of the league. I think, like, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back, but I think having a weekly thing where we talk about CCL has helped a lot. So
No, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for being here. I mean, we still have an entire episode.
True.
So this
We still
isn't.
have an episode.
This
but
isn't
this
it.
is the last purely CCL.
But
Yes.
XDM, we want you on the podcast.
True.
So
Don't go swimming next time.
Don't go.
don't go swimming.
No swimming in the pool.
Be elusive, but don't be elusive to us.
True.
We want to interview you,
Yeah.
and we're not weird.
Nah.
Augustin
Nah.
is weird. Okay.
I think we're all weird. Let's be real. I don't think anyone's
so
more
some
weird.
of us are more weird than the others.
I mean,
Yeah, look, miladies, I am
Okay.
here.
okay. Well, thank you guys so much for
that's
watching.
the chair that the poor was thrown at. Where I guess it was.
Oh, that's what that is. That's when I fell asleep. This is how I woke up. I woke up like this. No.
This is how you wake up every day.
Yes.
You live
Every single day. I wake up, I look up, and I say, "My ladies, I am here."
sound clip it, by the way.
Oh no.
Can we
please
do
don't.
it as one of the things in Nebraska sports? That clip right there.
No. Please don't. That sounds. It sounds like we have a 1v1 tournament tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Ooh. I hope you guys are ready because
Twitch.tv/Specialty Sports.
we're gonna be streaming it. There's gonna be. So if you are, if you want to watch some good gameplays, good fun
Signups,
content,
Unfortunately, will be closed by the time this comes out.
they're gonna be closed. But you know what? You can still show up in person and watch. It will be fun. It's gonna be a good time. So be there or
Be square.
be not cool. Was that I was gonna
not
say?
eat free pizza. So
Yeah. But thank you guys so much for watching. This has been a blast, and we hope to see you guys next time.
Bye.